Hello, CSC120. This is Keyvan Shahrdar. Let's go over Chapter 9, Nested Loops. We will go over nested loops and we will check some problems out and we will be able to test so you could be able to test your knowledge. Nested loops. Nested loops is a programming structure in which one loop contains at least one additional loop. So that is having a loop inside of a loop. That's important whenever you're trying to do any type of programming where you need to get things inside of variables. So for example, when you get up in the morning, you start the day by brushing your teeth. Perhaps you brush the teeth 15 times on the left side of your mouth and 18 times on the right side. So you follow a daily loop, loop 1, by brushing every day. Within that, you follow a brushing loop, loop 2 for the left side, and then a second brushing loop for the right side. So for example, create a two-dimensional box of stars. So given a height of 3, we want the program to print a box 3 stars high by 3 stars wide as shown. Well, we write a single loop that prints one row of 3 stars. So we say column equals 0, while column is less than 3, do print star, and then we do the increment column equals column plus 1. But we also want to add a row. So there has to be 3 rows of those 3 columns that we printed. So we add a variable for row, and we do a while do row, which says that while the row is less than 3, keep printing those rows. And here we ask, how high do you want the box? So here it says print enter box height, get the height, and that's what we do for the number of rows. So if the rows is less than height, then we write the columns which are less than height as well. So if you have a three high columns, it's going to have 3 columns, or if it has 3 rows, it's going to have 3 columns as well. And this is the flow chart. So you print enter box height, get height, row equals 0, starts at 0. If the row is less than height, you do the true side, which is column equals 0. Column is less than height. You check for if that's true or not. And if it is true, you print the column equals column plus 1. If it's not true, you then just increment the row. So you could see how you have a nested loop in there. And here we have the Python code, so you could see the nested while loops in there. So you have the height, you enter the height, the row equals 0, while row is less than height, then column equals 0, while column is less than height, that means 1, 2, 3, and remember, the column has to be reset to 0 every single time it goes through a row. That's why it does that. Then it says print star. And what it's doing here, and equals single quote, what this does is it tells that after you print that star, do not do a carriage return, just leave it there. That's what that's telling it. And then it increments the number of columns. So once it reaches the number of columns that's the same as the height, then it will stop printing the star. And then once it stops printing that, then it just increments the row and does the next row. Use nested loops to create a triangle of stars. Allows the user to decide the height of the triangle, then create a triangle according to input. When the user chooses a triangle height of 4, the printed triangle looks like this. So you see, this sort of is like a left side triangle. And this is the pseudocode that you enter. So it obviously says if row is less than height, do column 0. While column is less than or equal to row, do print star, and then increments the row. So you see what the difference of this is from the other is that here we are using the row for this second one, and that is telling it, hey, I'm on the first row, so just print 1 star. I'm on the second row, so just print 2 stars. Third row, print 3 stars. Whereas the other one was saying height. So we say column less than or equal to height, then that would be different. It would be more of a square height. And this is the flow chart, which, as you can see, it has 2 while loops, one out here and then another one here. So you see, this is the first one that goes all the way out here, and then this is the second one that's in here. This is what prints the each row, and this one prints, adds into the height. And this is how it would look like in the Python code. So you see, while the column is less than or equal to row, instead of height here. So that's why you get that to the left triangle. Modify the triangle created in 9.1 so it aligns to the right instead. So if you wanted to align to the right instead, you're going to have to make some additional changes. So here it says while rows less than height so it inserts spaces before the stars on each row, as you could see that here. So it's just going to print a space. Then it will print a row. So it will print the a star as long as the column is less than the row, and it continues going here. So here we have 3 while loops. So the first while loop, it checks for the height. The second one checks to see how many spaces we're going to put in its place. And the second one checks to see how many stars we're going to put in its place. And this is how the flowchart would look like. As you can see, you have 1 while loop that it's going, and then another while loop that is going. These two while loops are nested inside of this other while loop here. They're not nested inside the second loop. So just to be clear on that. And this is what you get. This is your Python code. So if you wanted to do something like this, so this is a little different, and you would have to do a while loop for the height, and then you'd have to add some spaces, and then print the stars. And this is how it would look like. So this is the part 1. So this is to enter the diamond height. And this is part 2. This is continued from the previous part, didn't fit in one slide. And this does the other half of it. And this is what that would look like. So in conclusion, nested loops contain a loop within another loop. The first loop is the outer loop, and the second loop is the inner loop. Using nested loops, you can create 2-dimensional objects and output. Test your knowledge. There are 8 exercises at the end of the chapter to apply your skills you learned. To show that you understand the material presented in this chapter, complete the Chapter 9 quiz at psfpp.goadrich.com. Thanks for listening. My name is Keyvan Shahrdar. You could reach me at keyvan.shahrdar@lsus.edu, or you could call or text me at 318-453-8082. Thank you.